Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about some more diminished stuff. The uh, couple of clips you just saw, I'm applying a couple different concepts. The first of which I'm calling subtle diminished. I don't know if you'll see it really called that anywhere else. You know, that's sort of what comes to mind when I think of applying diminished scale in that way. And the other side of this is the not so subtle diminished. So the difference is if you saw my last lesson, that focuses on using the diminished scale in a subtle way. So if we have a chord like an A flat 7 headed to minor, A flat 7 headed to D flat minor, we can use a diminished scale to lean on the notes of an A flat 7 flat 9, and sort of by consequence we get a diminished scale, and that's why I call it subtle diminished, because we're not really hanging out in the land of diminished, spelling out the different major and minor triads. We're taking a linear approach, using passing tones to get to chord tones to spell a pretty inside sound in A flat 7 flat 9, and pretty comfortably get to a D flat minor. So in those previous two clips, you'd notice that I'm doing that pretty much right off the bat. So because I do it a lot. So we have an A flat 7 flat 9 chord, and I can go to minor. Pretty inside sounding. And there's not even really a whole lot that's out about that, or modern, or whatever you want to call it. If we were to start on the flat 7, our passing tone is getting us to the flat 9. Our passing tone is getting us to the major third, and even both of these notes are pretty inside. Our passing tone is getting us to the 5th. An approach tone to the 5th is not, it's not that uncommon. Passing tone getting us to the 7th. So, we have a major 6th here, which I've talked about a bit in the last lesson. Hey guys, so if you're into this lesson, make sure to check out the full episode on my Patreon. That's where I have all the PDFs and the guitar profiles for this stuff. I also post a lot of things exclusively to Patreon. So, if you want to be a member and get access to all that stuff, get the full lessons and the files, definitely check it out when you're done here. Thanks. And then we're sort of back at the beginning there. So this is my subtle diminished. The diminished scale is a consequence of using passing tones to getting to chord tones. Now, not so subtle diminished is more of what I was going to talk about today. So I have a couple of examples there in the PDF of applying this over a C sharp minor or D flat minor chord. And the reason the diminished scale I've kind of selected to play over this chord is from the root C sharp, a whole half diminished scale. And the notes, the reason that I'm playing this particular diminished scale is because it pretty much has all the necessary notes to spell out a D flat natural minor. We're not talking about Dorian. We're talking about like or like a real D C sharp minor 6, C sharp minor major 7th, C sharp minor triad. This is not a Dorian sound that we're playing with here. And right, so this 8-note scale has all the needed notes to spell out that that sound of C sharp minor, and we're sort of trading the 5th here for a flat 5 and a sharp 5, or a flat 5, and I'd probably call it more of a flat 6, depending on how it's used in the line, that flat six could be used to sort of say, hey, this is like an A flat 7, flat 9 again, as opposed to, that's the flat 6 at work, as opposed to a major 6. It helps us go upwards. So the first couple bars from this PDF, I don't think I played this in the examples, but it is an idea that informed the next couple of bars, the next phrase. So we have in this 8-note scale, we have a C major triad, E flat major triad, F sharp major triad, and an A major triad. These are just major triads moving in minor thirds, and you can also play a minor triad instead of major for each of those. So I was just kind of coming up with a fun way to flip back and forth between major and minor, and not do it in such an obvious way. A common thing to do with diminished that was probably pretty hip a long time ago at some point was taking a major triad and moving it in tritones. And then you can also do like that's the major triad moving in minor thirds. So that's the diminished scale at work, but we can be a little bit more creative with it. So again, taking a look at the 8 notes that I was spelling out before, the C sharp whole half diminished, we have this, what this line is doing is taking C major and then moving it a tritone away to F sharp, and I'm flipping the sound to minor. So that could have been, that's pretty cool too. But I'm, instead of playing groups of 3, I'm playing groups of 4, and that first note is a passing tone I'm borrowing from the 8-note scale to kind of start off the sound. So I actually start this with a B flat. Then now I want to get to, I'm moving this sound now up a minor third. So my next sound is going to be an E flat minor. And that's kind of what I lean on right there. And I'm using this note